The most important thing about all this is something many still don't want to accept. Jungkook's trip to Switzerland wasn't a honeymoon with Jimin. It wasn't before, and it isn't now with the new photos. It was a film, a work of art, and that's evident in every image that's been published. But some people keep repeating the same thing, as if they don't see the obvious. And what's obvious? That in those photos, you can clearly see staff members, security, professional cameras, and a technical crew recording every step. It's not an intimate trip, it's a production. This kind of misunderstanding has happened before. During the filming of the show Are You Sure?, when Jungkook and Jimin went out on a boat, many fans started saying they were on some kind of romantic trip. They even went so far as to invent a honeymoon story. But it later emerged that all of this was part of a paid-for content they were recording for their audience. Everything was organized, prepared, and recorded by a professional crew. And yet, the same people who made the mistake that time are repeating the same error with these new images. The curious thing is that there are clear signs that they are not alone. There are high-quality cameras, people with microphones, and crew members organizing the shots. There are perfectly lit scenes, and Jimin and Jungkook seem to be acting in a very controlled manner, like when filming a scene for a series or documentary. But the most important thing here is not just to clarify that this is not a romantic trip. It's also to look closely at what is happening and recognize who is building something more authentic off-camera: Taehyung and Jungkook. Unlike what is shown in recorded productions or paid content, the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook has been constant, sincere, and often silent. It doesn't need so many cameras to be noticed. Those who follow them closely know that they share moments outside of work hours, have natural gestures toward each other, and often travel or are together when there are no productions involved. While others try to create stories from prepared content, Taehyung and Jungkook construct theirs effortlessly. Their connection is evident in the small details: how they look at each other, how they understand each other without words, how they care for each other even when no one else seems to notice. It's very clear what's going on. Jungkook and Jimin are recording professional content, perhaps for a new project. But they're not alone. They're surrounded by staff, cameras, lights, and production. It's logical to think that everything is arranged for an official release, not a romantic vacation. Despite this, there are fans who continue to say they're on their second honeymoon, as if those words could change what's really happening. Some people simply repeat what they'd like to believe, without looking at what's right in front of them. But when you analyze it calmly, without getting carried away by emotion, everything becomes more understandable. Furthermore, repeating an idea without proof, just because it sounds nice, can be misleading, especially for younger fans. That's why it's so important to tell things clearly. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the content idols create, but you have to know how to differentiate between what's real and what's just part of the job. And if we're talking about real relationships, the kind that don't require staged scenes, then we have to look more closely at Taehyung and Jungkook. They don't flaunt it, but their closeness speaks for itself. They've shared rooms, taken unpromoted trips, spontaneous late-night broadcasts, and often support each other in important moments. In recent weeks, there have been many rumors about a possible second season of the show Are You Sure? Although the information hasn't been officially confirmed by the company, many people on social media claim that a new edition of the show is in the works, and that this time it could also feature Namjoon. One of the reasons frequently mentioned is that Jimin has publicly expressed that he misses Namjoon. This has led some fans to believe that he could join as a third member for this new season. However, the interesting thing about all this isn't just who is entering or leaving the show, but what happened in the previous season and the true impact that Taehyung's presence had alongside Jungkook, something that many people haven't fully noticed. During the first season of Are You Sure?, the atmosphere of the show changed radically when Taehyung appeared. Before he joined, many scenes showed Jungkook quite distant, focused on his cell phone, isolated from the rest of the crew. What few knew at the time was that Jungkook primarily used the phone to communicate with Taehyung. But when Taehyung finally joined the project, the dynamic between them completely transformed the show's rhythm. Jungkook began to show more smiles, activeness, and participation. The connection between the two was so natural that it not only enriched the scenes but also brought a more genuine and spontaneous energy to the format. Many viewers noticed, with Taehyung present, Jungkook seemed happier and more authentic. This close relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook is not new. They have shared years of career, travel, and personal and public moments that demonstrate a strong connection. For many fans, their relationship goes beyond a simple friendship. It is full of details, gestures, and shared moments that convey something special. Although they have never made explicit statements about their bond, their body language and the way they constantly seek each other out, both on and off stage, is a constant source of analysis and admiration from the audience. In the first season, many of the conversations between Jungkook and Jimin seemed forced or distant. On several occasions, it seemed as though they needed a third person to break the silence and create a more dynamic atmosphere. Therefore, Taehyung's participation wasn't simply an addition, but a fundamental improvement for the show. If Namjoon were to join this second season, he could fulfill a similar role to Taehyung's, creating balance, improving interaction, and breaking up the rigidity of some scenes. But there's no denying that it was Taehyung who truly transformed the atmosphere of the previous show, and that Jungkook's joy was more visible thanks to him. Ultimately, what these types of shows show goes beyond entertainment. They allow us to observe how relationships between the group members are formed, sustained, and strengthened, and especially how the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook has a depth and naturalness that continues to spark interest, respect, and affection in many fans. Although rumors about Are You Sure 2 have yet to be confirmed, what is clear is that if the production wants genuine, joyful, and meaningful interaction, Taehyung's presence alongside Jungkook should be a priority.